Enjoy this exhibition of basketball by the United States and maybe a few surprises by Australia as Steve Smith takes it to the glass, struggle underneath. Finally, it is pulled down by Bradkey and flipped over to Andrew Gaze. At the right point, drops it back for Heel. Cross for Bradkey. Down for Vlahoff underneath for Bradkey, off the glass for two. And the Australians here in attendance cheer the first 2 points of the night for Australia, 2-0 over the United States. Dumars, top of the key, sets, jumps, through. Joe Dumars with two, and we're even up with a deuce apiece here in the early going, 19-18 remaining first half. Gaze down for Vlahoff, back for Ronaldson, in for Heel. Heel puts it down low for Bradkey, working against Derek Coleman. Dishes back for Heel, back for Gaze. Gaze drives, sets, shoots, good! Andrew Gaze. The tournament leader in average points scored with 26.6. Gaze converts 4-2 Australia. Price driving in, rolls around the cage, stays out. Hill brings it back up the left side across the timeline. Bounces inside for Ronaldson. Turnaround jumper, good! 6-2 Australia. United States down by 4. Here's Joe Dumars moving inside. Jumper from 11. Will not fall. Rebound knocked out of bounds by Bradkey. United States with the inbounds. So the United States wanting to get ahead early in these games, but Bradkey converting 2 of the 6 points the Australians have scored tonight. Here's Derek Coleman just outside of the trapezoid. Goes up and draws the foul. Reaching in on Andrew Gaze. First personal foul, first foul of the game, so it's the first team foul for the Australians. And you see the 6'10", 235-pound New Jersey net driving to the basket. And with the shooting foul, he will go to the line. First shot, nothing but net for Coleman. 6-3 now, Australia doubling up on the United States. And Coleman converts on his second opportunity, margin of 2 in favor of the Aussies. Heel fires it up for Gaze at the right point. Watched by Dumars, swings it over for Bradkey, down deep for Heel. Jumper from 3, rattles off the cage, no good, out of bounds. Australia ball though, as it went off Grandmama, Larry Johnson. And Gaze, in front of his own bench, will inbounds. Back for Heel. Heel top of the key, driving inside, dishes out, jumper from Gaze, will not drop. Pulled down by Johnson. Price crashing into Heel, and Heel is called on the foul. That'll be his first and the second team foul against the Australians.
The foul on number 11, Shane Heel, his first and second team foul.
Steve Smith to inbounds for the United States, across to Mark Price. Brings it across the timeline, fires it down for Joe Dumars. The Detroit Pistons signal Steve Smith back to center. He pulls it down, marked closely by Vlahoff. In for Dumars in three-point territory. Bounce pass in for Coleman, posting up against Bradkey. Outside for Smith, fakes it from 3, steps inside, top of the trapezoid, under for Coleman, off the glass and in. Derek Coleman. And we've got a tie game of 6. Shane Heel across center. Marked closely by Price, works off the pick underneath for Bradkey with the two-handed jam. And how's that for Boomer basketball? Mark Bradkey going up with a two-handed jam and drawing the foul. He will go to the line. Steve Smith with his first. And the first team foul against the United States. So Australia up by 2. They will try to extend their lead to 3, and Bradkey puts it off the lip. So the Aussies will settle with a margin of 2. Dumars, bounce pass underneath. LJ, a two-handed jam of his own. Even up 8-8. USA and the boys from down under. Here's Heel across center. Brings it over right point. Edge of the trapezoid, off the glass, falls short. LJ bringing it back for the United States. Larry Johnson over for Coleman for 3. No. Rebound. Knocked down by Bradkey. Gets the handle on it and hands it off to Vlahoff. Across center, pacing it over to the left point. Bounce pass for Gaze. Gaze in for Bradkey, posting up against Coleman. In the key, spinning, turning off the glass, doesn't fall. And the Aussies will draw the foul.
Number 6.
Talk about in your face, Grandmama.
His first.
Coming back with a two-handed jam, maybe hanging on the rim a little bit. You know they're tight on calling that here in international basketball. Bradkey goes back to the line for 2. Bradkey with 4 points tonight. He'll try to make it 6. And the first shot goes through, nothing but net. 9-8. Australia with the lead of 1. Bradkey with his second, and it falls. So Australia with 16:36 remaining, holding a lead of a pair. Mark Price, here's the steal. Nice steal by Gaze. Over to Heel, behind the back pass. Oh! That's Watson with Matilda. Andrew Gaze for 2. Derek Coleman coming back. Rebound, hammered up by Coleman. Heel comes back. Here come the Aussies. Gaze for 3. No. Bradkey fighting it underneath. And it's tapped in by Blaha. A rude awakening in the early going for the Americans. 14-8 for the Australians. My, oh my. Here's Steve Smith. Underneath for LJ. He'll jam it through for 2. 14-10. Aussies by 4. Heel now. Paces it over to the baseline. He'll jump it for 3. Good! Shane Heel from 3. 17-10 Australia. Steve Smith. Underneath for LJ. Larry Johnson driving, and he will draw the foul. Bradkey with his first, and the second team foul against the Australians.
Bradkey, his first third team foul. Officials timeout.
Neat little steal, and Gaze converts. As Heel with the behind-the-back pass. Hey, Joe Dumars. You didn't think they could do that down under, did you? And there's Joe Dumars at the top of the key. Marked closely by Andrew Gaze. Back now for Price. Working in on Shane Heel. Sets for 2. Throws. Good. Gap of 5. 17-12. Australia. Heel. Bounce pass in for Bradkey. Working off Derek Coleman. Swings around. Puts it short. Battle for the rebound. Coleman pries it away. And they're going to call it jump ball. Hey, Bradkey will settle for that. So we'll have a jump ball out at the top of the key between Derek Coleman and Bradkey. 6'10", 265 pounds. Bradkey, 6'10", 235 pounds. Derek Coleman. Yeah, Bradkey wins it. Back for Ronaldson from 3. No, doesn't drop. No one underneath for Australia to take the rebound. Price brings it across the timeline. From the outside, dishes left side for Dumars. Dumars holding on, waiting for things to shape up underneath. Has some room, dishes back. Here's a shot from Smith for 3. It's good.
For Steve Smith.
Back to a margin of 2. United States 15, Australia 17. Here's Heel from 3. He'll let a bomb go, and he gets it, his second three-pointer of the night. 20-15. Aussies maintain a gap of 5. Dumars at the left point. Tries to work off the pick set up by Coleman. Gaze followed him along. Coleman gets the pass back inside. Working off Bradkey. Fakes, fades away, and hits the jumper. 17-20. Margin of 3. The speedy Heel brings it up. Bounce pass in. Bradkey posting up underneath. Fakes, puts it up, and good. Ho-ho! Mark Bradkey with another deuce. 22-17 Australia. They're staying with this American team every step of the way. Fadeaway jumper for Larry Johnson is good. And Australia ball on the turnover.
Australia substitution, number 7, Pat Reedy.
And Pat Reedy comes into the game for Ronaldson. So Gaze will take the inbounds for Bradkey, and back to Gaze out of his own back court. Watched by Dumars. Gaze to the right point, takes it inside, rolls it up, no good. Reedy underneath has the ball slapped away, puts it up and in. Pat Reedy comes into the game, and 2 seconds later converts with another 2. for Australia, 24-19. Price driving in through the paint, and he is fouled. That'll be the third team foul, and the second foul against Hill. A correction, 14th foul against Australia. And Shaquille O'Neal now comes into the game for the United States. All 7'1", 305 pounds of him. Here's the long shot from three for Price. That would have been good in the NBA or any league as Price put it in from about 26 feet out, 22-24 down. Aussies clinging on to a 2-point lead. Pat Reedy at the left point. And things are whistled down underneath. I believe we have a foul coming up against Joe Dumars. Yes, Joe Dumars with the holding foul. That's his first and the third team foul against the United States. Andrew Gaze with the inbounds. Back for Heels. Long shot for three-hole. That one rattled off the cage. Shaquille O'Neal controls the boards, handing it off to Joe Dumars. Dumars slowly bringing it up the left side. Bounce pass in for LJ. Larry Johnson posting up. And we got a pushing foul. That'll be coming up against Andrew Vlahov. That's Vlahov's first foul.
14, Andrew Vlahov.
That's a 15th foul against the Australians. Here's Vlahov obviously pushing off against Larry Johnson. Johnson doesn't like getting hit in the back. He missed 14 games in the NBA season with back surgery, and the shot underneath. That's almost an automatic too as he just taps it in. We're even up 24 apiece. The general into the game, Phil Smythe, back for Vlahov. Vlahov at the top of the key, play whistle down underneath.
The foul on number 8, Steve Smith.
Foul on Motor City Smitty, Steve Smith. That's his second. And the fourth team foul. So Gaze will take the inbounds in for Reedy. Reedy with the jumper from 16, bounces off the edge of the rim. Once again, O'Neal controls the rebound. And we have another foul underneath, this time against Australia.
The foul on number 14, Andrew Vlahov, his second.
That's a second foul against Vlahov. And the 16th foul, and the Shaq is so dominant, totally in proportion for a 7'1" center. It's not one of those tall, skinny centers. No question about it. He's all muscle. Long shot from three is good from Mark Price. 27-24, Americans back in front. Bill Smythe at the left point, puts it in for Vlahov. Andrew Vlahov back for the general, down for Reedy at the right point. Watched closely by O'Neal, and we got another foul underneath. Australia really drawing those fouls along the boards. That's a third foul against Steve Smith. And a 15th foul, so both teams edging towards the penalty. As Smythe off the inbounds. Marks the ball around, drives the top of the key, shadowed by Price. Some good defense there. Hand off to Andrew Gaze. Gaze fading back with 20 seconds remaining on the shot clock. Over on the right side for Smythe. In underneath for Bradkey. Working against the shot. Refused! And called on the travel, so it's going back the other way. Shaquille O'Neal, unstoppable in the middle. Leading this tournament in block shots, 27-24, United States, with 11:43 remaining in the first.
Still have 30 seconds to hit 2 3-point shots for a Kellogg's prize package, including a Kellogg Fit Kit and warm-up jacket.
Sean Kemp, the Seattle Supersonic, known as the Rain Man. Price from three-point range drops it underneath for Shaquille O'Neal. Turnaround hook, no good. It's short. Pulled down by the general. Smythe across the timeline. Down for Gaze. Back for Smythe. In for Vlahov in three-point range underneath. Bradkey fakes the shot. Back for Vlahov. He'll let a bomb go for three. Andrew Vlahov. We're all tied up at 27.
Australia ball.
And it's Australia ball. And the Aussies have an opportunity to come back and pull into the lead once again. Coming up on the halfway mark of the first half. Jim Mullen at Maple Leaf Gardens in Toronto, Ontario. So far, we've got a bit of a shocker here. Here's Andrew Gaze driving the baseline. Double teamed by Kemp and O'Neill, and he will draw the foul. A wise move and a courageous move by Andrew Gaze.
Sean Kemp.
And Kemp will draw the foul. That is his first. The teams are tied up in team fouls with 6. KJ comes into the game now for Mark Price. Gaze converts on his first. 28-27. 27 from 28 at the line. Make that 29 of 30. 29-27, Australia by 2. 10:38 remaining in the half. Here Sean Kemp driving into the trapezoid. Dishes off for the Shack. Up and not in. Tip ball hauled down by Andrew Gaze. Aussies back to the rush. Across center line up the left-hand side. Andrew Gaze back for the general. Smythe in the center circle. Marked closely by KJ. Swings it wide for Bradkey. Bradkey dribbling in on O'Neill. Tries to go up top. No way, Jose. Shaquille O'Neal with the block. LJ bringing it back, motoring through underneath to the Shack. He goes up and draws the foul. That'll be the third against Andrew Vlahov. Giving the Shack a bit of a slap on the way back.
His third 17th foul.
And here's Shack at both ends. First with the block, and then drawing the slap. So the Shack was ice cold from the line in the game against China. He was 0 for 6 at one point. Converts on his first. USA down by 1. And now things are all tied up. So Shaquille O'Neal warm from the line, at least in the early going. 29 apiece, 9:59 remaining first half. Pat Reedy down for Smythe. In for Bradkey, rather Vlahov, up and off the glass, no good. Larry Johnson up for Kevin Johnson. Johnson and Johnson working things up. Here's KJ down to LJ. LJ looking back for Dumars in three-point range. Here's Kevin Johnson in three-point range. Back, here's the jumper, is good from Joe Dumars. 31-29, USA. Smythe, shadowed by KJ. Turning, putting it back for Reedy. Back for Smythe. Smythe slinging it back for Reedy. Playing patty cake with the ball. Now in for Vlahov. Bradkey, jumper, 16, no way. Pulled down by Kemp. Pass intercepted by Smythe. New 32nd. Three-point shot, no good. Kemp comes back in. And atones for his miscue, but gives it up again. Reedy from 3. No. Rebound. Pulled down by Andrew Gaze in three-point territory. Drives the lane, takes it up. Rolls on the glass and in. Andrew Gaze. Much to the chagrin of Don Nelson. And it's 31 apiece. Shaquille O'Neal backing in, crashing, and gets the 2, crashing in on Bradkey. Bradkey looking for the foul. 33-31, USA. Pat Reedy at the right point. Puts it inside, goes off a hand, and the Americans come back, but Reedy with the steal on the Shaquille O'Neal outlet. The Australians everywhere on the hardwood, but now Gaze couldn't get the handle on the ball when it goes out of bounds. 33-31, the United States leading the Australia national team in a barn burner.
Ray Porter. Number 11, Shane Heal. USA substitution, number 11, Reggie Miller.
Reggie Miller into the game now for the USA. The play is whistled down with a foul underneath.
The foul number 7, Sean Kemp.
Kemp with his second.
His second.
Each team with 17 fouls, so both teams one away from the penalty. 8 minutes remaining first half. USA by 2 against the plucky Australians. Ronaldson back into the game for the Aussies. At the right point. Swings it over for Gaze. Here's Ronaldson again along the baseline. Jammed up by O'Neal. Turns around. Trying to put it over O'Neal. Rolled around the cage and out. Reggie Miller is fouled by Gaze.
The foul number 10, Andrew Gaze.
Not the wisest foul to take by Andrew Gaze.
Officials timeout.
United States 33, Australia 31.
And we're in the bonus.
And now Miller will go to the line on the 1-and-1.
South Dakota, the world's best female basketball holder, Tanya Crevier.
They're up by 2, 33-31. Averaging 14 points a game. Miller converts on his first. 34-31, US by 3. Of course, his sister is Cheryl Miller, most talented women's basketball player of all time, perhaps, now coaching at USC. Makes good on his second, 35-31. Gaze out of his own backcourt. And for Ronaldson from 3, no. Rebound pulled down by O'Neal. And if the Aussies want to stay in this one, they've got to stay hot from that perimeter. O'Neal in for Dumars, works off the pick set up by O'Neal, sails and puts it through. Airborne Joe Dumars with another 2. The Americans are now surmounting a lead of 6 now, 37-31. Gaze to the left point in for Reedy, top of the key, drives inside, draws the foul. That's Shaquille O'Neal's first foul. Basically, the Australians going inside, maybe not anticipating on making the shot, but obviously wanting to stir up the fouls as they are now in the bonus in the 1-on-1 with Pat Reedy. His first shot decides not to drop in a mind of its own, bouncing around the cylinder. It's a shooting foul, so here's his second opportunity, and it falls. 37-32 USA, 7:09 remaining, first half. Long outlet pass, Reggie Miller along the baseline, backs off, double team, back to Sean Kemp, swings around and is fouled.
No basket.
The basket will not count. Kemp will go to the line on the 1-and-1. The foul is on Kehoe.
We're in the bonus.
Just into the game. 193 national games for Damian Kehoe prior to this World Tournament.
Sean Kemp at the line, 1 plus the bonus.
Sean Kemp on the 1-and-1. No good on his first. Aussies pull down the rebound. Kehoe up the right side. Up for Heel. Long shot. Oh, it's great. Sure three-pointer for Shane Heel tonight. He is putting on an exhibition from the outside. A deadly bomber. Shane Heel, 37-35. Aussies back in 2. As Reggie Miller replies with 2 of his own, 39-35. USA by 4. Here's Heel again. Basically, he can score from anywhere on the court, bringing it over to the right point underneath. For Borner. Loose ball, Reedy with the turnaround jumper, sinks it! 39-37. And at least in the first half, the Americans are involved in a bit of a basketball game here. Kevin Johnson at the left point working off the pick of O'Neal, drives inside along the lane, dishes off for Sean Kemp, who taps it in off the window pane.
Sean Kemp.
4-point lead, 41-37 USA. Shane Heel dancing around the perimeter, takes it inside, in for Ray Borner, moves off the bump. It looked like he was fouled, but such was not the case as Kevin Johnson rolls it back, in through the trapezoid, dishes it off and rolls it in. 43-37 USA. 5:42 remaining first half. Heel at the left point. Up the side for Kehoe. Back for Reedy. Round for Heel. The right point. Kevin Johnson will watch him closely. Out for Border from 3, air ball, and it bounces out of bounds.
Australia substitution
For Shane Heel. Wow, that had to be from at least 34 feet out. Sweet shooting. 3 for 5 from three-point range. Shane Heel and KJ making the Australians pay, taking it through the trapezoid for 2. 43-37 USA. They look to add to their lead. Kevin Johnson, right point down for Dan Marley, just into the game. One baseline shot. The Rain Man comes down again. 45-37. Heel, bounce pass. Inside for Ronaldson, trying to work around Kemp. Try to spin it off the glass and in. No go there. Reggie Miller back up the right side, waiting for his teammates to catch up. Back for Marley, top of the key, over to KJ. KJ spinning around, jumping, putting it through. And all of a sudden, the United States have extended their lead to 10, 47-37. With 4:36 remaining in the half. Heel from 2, rebound, and goes off the
Over the top, USA ball.
back and out. And it'll be American ball. Sean Kemp giving him a bit of a room. And he'll put it through with a bit of style. Looking for the style points on that one as well. As Kevin Johnson now. Top of the key, bounce pass underneath for Kemp. He lost control. And it looks like we're going to have a jump ball here between Pat Reedy and Sean Kemp, a pair of number 7s.
Number 6, Phil Smythe. Number 14,
Andrew Vlahov and Phil Smythe now check into the game for the Australians.
Australia, timeout. Be sure to visit the nominee stands in the arena lobby for your official
47-37, the United States by 10. I think I'll give the edge to Kemp. And the Americans win it. Kevin Johnson at the top of the key, dishes inside, goes up arms, bounces back to Reggie Miller, cross court Dan Marley driving along the baseline, puts it off the glass, not in. Australians come back 3-on-2. Here's Reedy, right side Kehoe, jumper for 3. Yes! Kehoe from 3. 7-point margin, 47-40. Reggie Miller, left point, back for Sean Kemp, round the house for Dan Marley. Back for Kevin Johnson, down deep for Marley, working around Vlahov. Back for Reggie Miller, over for KJ. KJ at the left point, doing some fancy dribbling. Takes it up and slammed through by Sean Kemp. 49-40. One shot from 3, no good from Vlahov. Rebound comes down, we've got a foul underneath. And of course, when the ball is above the cylinder in the NBA, you can't do this. So Sean Kemp has got to love that opportunity for that ball just sitting up there helplessly. He just bashes it through.
Dan Marley at the line, 1 plus the bonus.
And off the foul on the bonus, Marley will go to the line for the United States.
14, Alonzo.
And Alonzo Mourning will make his first appearance of the game, spelling off Shaquille O'Neal. The Australians really went cold when Shaquille O'Neal came into the game, controlling the middle, leaving the game with 3 block shots in his minutes played in this first half. First shot by Marley goes down, 50-40, margin of 10 again for the United States. And he puts another one through, the Phoenix Sun Dan Marley, 51-40, the Americans' largest lead of the match. Foul on Marley, that'll be his first.
The foul number 9, Dan Marley, his first. We're in the bonus.
Andrew Gaze bringing it up out of the backcourt. Marley gets a little too intimate with him, and Gaze will go to the line on the 1-and-1. First shot bounces out, rebound, pulled down by Vlahov and controlled. He's bumped around in there by Sean Kemp. Australia ball. Much to the protest of Sean Kemp, the Australians will take it in front of their bench. There's Andrew Gaze looking about. For Bradkey, handed off to Kehoe. Kehoe at the right point, marked by Miller. And Miller cruises back. And his assessment the foul.
The foul number 10, Reggie Miller.
Americans not liking
His
the
first.
calls that are going their way here in the
In the bonus.
first half. That's only Reggie Miller's first.
One plus the bonus.
And Keogh will go to the line on the 1-and-1. We'll try to close this gap to 10. And he doesn't. So the second 1-and-1 opportunity missed in a row by the Australians. America by 11. KJ to the glass and in. Kevin Johnson. A piece of artistry by KJ. 53-40. The margin's up to 13 now. Bradkey, top of the key, back for the General. Smythe saves it by the over and back. Here's Gaze, working off the pitch, shadowed by two American players. Gaze driving in, reaching in on Kemp, and that'll be a foul.
The foul number 7.
That's his
Sean
third.
Kemp. His third.
As Kevin Johnson, airborne through the trapezoid, lays it in.
One plus the bonus.
For the largest lead by the United States, it's a margin of 13. Gaze will try to bring it down to 11. And Gaze converts on his first opportunity. So it's now a margin of 12. As Dominique Wilkins sits poised to get into this game. And Gaze is 2 for 2 on his 1-and-1. 53-42, America by 11. Sean Kemp, top of the key, swings it wide to Miller. Down for KJ. Kevin Johnson over to Marley, over to Miller from three-point range, fakes it, and then fires it up and draws the foul from Vlahov.
The foul number
I believe that'll be the
14.
fourth. Yes, it is.
Andrew Vlahov.
The fourth foul against Vlahov. So Andrew Vlahov will take a rest.
Substitution number 12, Dominique Wilkins.
Paul Rees will come into the game for Australia. Dominique Wilkins into the game for the United States.
Substitution number 13,
Spilling off
Paul
Sean
Rees.
Kemp.
Reggie Miller at the line.
Miller back to the line.
Shooting 2.
Trying to extend the American lead to 13. Miller's good on his first. Reggie Miller having to wear braces on his legs until the age of 5. Obviously, it straightened his legs out well enough to turn him into wings almost the way he flies through the air, and he puts his second opportunity through with 2:20 remaining. And that's first half, 55-42. Bradkey for Smythe. Smythe fakes inside. Decides to hold on to it. Round for Bradkey. Down deep for Rees. Up for Gaze. Three-point shot. Good! Andrew Gaze. 55-45. We're back to 10. Kevin Johnson. Top of the key. Moves up. Down for Marley. He's got Wilkins underneath. And we've got a foul.
Foul number 13, Paul Rees, his first.
First foul on Paul Rees. And the 1-on-1 for the Americans.
And Marley at the line, 1 plus the bonus.
Dan Marley at the line. He's 2 for 2 from the line tonight. And those are his only 2 points. And now he's 3 for 3. Lead of 11 once again with 1:47 remaining. See if Marley can be a perfect 4. And he's not. And the rebound is pulled down by Bradkey. Left for Gaze. Miller watching Gaze, a pair of number 10s. Face it off at the right point. Gaze hooks it around for Bradkey. Drop for Smythe. Smythe, no traffic inside. Now it's bounced under for Gaze off the glass. Doesn't drop, but he draws the foul. Andrew Gaze should go to the line for 2 here.
Foul number 14.
Lonzo Mourning, that is his first.
In the bonus. Andrew Gaze shooting 2.
Andrew Gaze just cutting around, hauling in that pass, and he's at the line for 2. First one drops through, nothing but net. 56-46. Australians trying to break the double-digit lead of the U.S. here, as Gaze does, so we're back to 9. 56-47. USA. Marley, right point, back for KJ, back for Marley. Marley working inside, lost control, but got it to Morning, and he hooks it up over and through. 58-47, margin of 11 once again. Andrew Gaze working at the top of the key, scoops it around, loose ball, recovers his own loss. Behind the back to Rees, he goes up and draws the foul. Well, we've seen some tiny little work here underneath by the Australians in their passing game. A couple of CE9 passes. And that's the second foul against Alonzo Mourning. Alonzo Mourning with a little too much pride there to let that basket go in. Takes the foul. He can't believe it. Rees to the line. First one is good with 1:01 remaining. Rees' second shot. Rattles off the cage. Mourning with the rebound. Now for Marley. Marley dishes inside for Dominique, who just taps it in. United States in the lead of a dozen, 60-48. Andrew Gaze, top of the key. Marked by Marley. Slings for Brad Key. Brad Key's got some room, takes it up. Looked like he was fouled over the top. No call. Miller brings it back through the paint. Up and draws the foul.
The foul number 8, Damian Keogh, his first.
Keogh's first foul. Let's check it out on the replay here. Well, that's just good defense there by Alonzo Mourning. Forcing Brad Key underneath as he carried it up the ladder. Miller converts on his first opportunity. A margin of 13 that the Australians have to overcome now with 25.6 seconds remaining first half. Reggie Miller's second. Falls through, no problems for Reggie Miller. And the Australians bring it back. Here's Rees dropping it for Kehoe. Plays whistle down because the clock didn't start. Still 25.6 seconds remaining in the half. The Americans, Coach Don Nelson wanting to get Larry Johnson into the game. Larry Johnson waiting to get in, but that will not be the case. Brad Key with the inbound. Up for Rees, his own Key, over for Smythe. The general over the division line. KJ shadowing him. 14 seconds remaining. Smythe having all sorts of problems with KJ wrapped around him like a dirty shirt. Manages to get it underneath for Gaze. Gaze with some moves. 2 seconds left. Turnaround jumper off the glass. No good. So the Australians putting a bit of a scare into the United States in the early going. So with about 7 minutes remaining in the first half, the Americans started putting on a show. And once again, ladies and gentlemen, it is showtime here for the second half of action from Toronto, Ontario, Canada. In Group 1 action between Australia and the United States for the second half. I'm Jim Mullen bringing you all the play-by-play action. with the United States leading 62-48. Ronaldson back to the attack, puts it high with an air ball, and Kevin Johnson rolls it through center. Onto the right side for Reggie Miller from three. Nice shot, high through the needle. And the Americans start off big in this second half, 65-48. Bradkey posting up against Mourning, trying to find some room. Hooks it over, rolls over the cage, doesn't drop. Ronaldson underneath, another hook shot. Bounces off the peach basket, and another one off the glass. Finally goes in for Bradkey. Americans around the horn. Here's Dominique Wilkins down for Reggie Miller, and we've got a foul. And here you see the Australians, they had three shots of trying to pound it in. And finally, Bradkey converts. Reggie Miller with a jumper from the top of the key, sinks through 4-2, 67-50, margin of 17. Australia's got to warm up from the field here. Andrew Gaze at the left point. He just drew his third foul. Here's the jumper, will not go. For Bradkey, and it rolls out of bounds, and it's called Australian ball. Reggie Miller not happy with that turn of events. Andrew Gaze to take the inbounds. Gaze out to heel, spinning out from around the back. Long three-pointer off the lip. Rebound bounces to the hands of Reggie Miller, who's knocked around by Heel. Miller will draw the foul.
The foul number 11, Shane Heel, his third.
That's his third foul, and the second team foul. Heel is not afraid to let some bombs go from outside 30 feet. Kevin Johnson at the left point, cuts through the paint, dishes underneath. Alonzo Mourning going up, loses control. But goes off an Australian player out of bounds. And the Americans will inbounds with Dan Marley. Marley out to Dominique Wilkins, cross for Reggie Miller. Dishes back for Dan Marley with a jumper for three, it's good. 70-50, and the margin is now 20. And the Australians are losing sight of the Americans here with 18-14 remaining in the second half. Bradkey working against Mourning, slapping away at him. Mark Bradkey looking inside, bounce pass, Heel behind the back. Gaze from three, moves in, back to Heel. Three-point shot is off the lip. And the loose ball played by the Australians. 4-on-3. Jump shot by Gaze is good for two. 70-52. Gap of 18. Kevin Johnson, Reggie Miller down for Marley. At the right point, one hands the ball in for Alonzo Mourning. Turnaround hook shot. Bounces straight back to Bradkey. Up for Gaze. With Reedy on his left side, decides to take it through, loses control, doesn't draw the foul. Americans come back. Reggie Miller sets from three, puts it up. Off the lip, Bradkey with the rebound. Left side, Gaze. Australians come across 3-on-3. Gaze at the left point. Slows things down. 24 seconds remaining on the shot clock. Has Reedy at the right point. Bounces it in for Ronaldson, and he is fouled by Dominique Wilkins. Wilkins got his mitts on Ronaldson. That's the first against Dominique Wilkins and the first team foul of the half against the United States. And you saw the little hand inside on the left arm of Ronaldson. And Dominique Wilkins checks out of the game. Joe Dumars into the game now for the Americans. And off the violation, the Americans will get a chance to inbounds. The Australians took too long. Here's Kevin Johnson making moves, top of the key, driving to the glass, refused by Bradkey. And the Australians come marching back. Here's Bradkey through the paint, up top, doesn't go, draws the foul. Alonzo Mourning, I believe that'll be his third.
Foul number 9.
We're calling it against Dan Marley. That's his second. So the second team foul against the United States. 70-52, a margin of 18. And Australians will try to hack away with it. At the foul line, Bradkey Converts on his first. Number of 2 Olympic teams in 88 and 92. Bratke puts the second one through. 70-54. Dumars down for Miller. His pass outside for Marley. Down to KJ. Jumper is good. And they're calling it 2. 72-54 USA. Bratke down for Gaze. And a foul underneath against the Australians. I believe it'll go against Ronaldson. It'll be the third team foul against
The foul number 4, Tony Ronaldson, his first.
the Australians, and that'll be the first against Ronaldson.
Third team foul. Australia substitution number 15, Ray Borner.
Ray Borner into the game now for Ronaldson. Americans with a comfortable 72-54 margin. Expect showtime here pretty soon. As Marley. Back for Miller. Fakes a 3, steps inside, dishes underneath. Alonzo Mourning with the one-handed delivery.
From Reggie Miller.
74-54. Gaze at the left point, working off of Dumars. Over for Bratke. And he couldn't connect with Borner. Borner went one way and the pass went the other. Be good, and Reggie Miller converts on that opportunity from 3, 77-54. Bratke on the outside. Down for Ray Borner. Back for Shane Heel. He's gone cold from 3. And Dumars heads it out for KJ behind the back end. And Marley one-handed jam doesn't work. No style points on that one, Dan Marley, as the Australians come back. Heel jumper won't go short off the lip again. Loose ball knocked away by Gaze and into touch, so the Americans will inbound. Kevin Johnson brings it across the timeline. Left point, top of the key, Mourning. Alonzo Mourning, back for Dumars. 3-point range, steps up, hooks it over for KJ. Up for Reggie Miller! Letting the ball go for 3, 80-54.
Kevin Johnson.
Andrew Gaze out of his own backcourt, pressured by Joe Dumars. Neat little move behind the back there. Buy himself some time. Gaze on the right side for Pat Reedy. Heel now with the ball, pacing it back. In for Gaze. Gaze with Bratke working down low, decides to shoot for 3, no good. The Australians have gone cold from the field in this second half. Kevin Johnson left side, Dumars up and through and draws the foul.
From Kevin Johnson.
And the foul against Andrew Gaze, and that's his 4th. He is in foul trouble.
Foul number 10. Andrew Gaze.
Gaze with 17 points tonight. The Australians can ill afford to lose him. Dumars goes to the line. He has 8, and he has yet to shoot from the charity stripe. And his first shot goes through to make the 3-point play. 83-54. Shane Heel, 6 foot, 185, brings it across the center line. Work down to Borner. Borner working against Marley, back to Bratke on the outside. Dropping it back, here's the shot from 3, no good from Reedy, but jammed in by Mark Bratke. KJ back to the attack, outside.
Foul number 14,
And the third foul against Alonzo Mourning with the block. But here's Bratke finishing things off in style for his 14th point of the evening. Number 2 on the scoring chart for Australia. Pass knocked out of bounds by Marley. Say it went off his foot. And McKay into the game. Will inbounds. In for Smythe. Now we got a foul coming up against Kevin Johnson.
His first 14th foul.
That's his first foul, the 14th foul against the United States. Derek Coleman will come in to spell off Alonzo Mourning. And McKay will inbounds once again with 13:15 remaining in the half. Back to Smythe. Backing off outside. Over for Bradkey at the left point, inside for Borner. Pushing foul called underneath. That'll be the 14th foul against the United States.
Foul number 4.
Joe Dumars is getting booked for his second.
His second 15th foul.
Now McKay throws it back for Bradkey. Back for Reedy. Left for the General Smythe. Smythe in for Bradkey. Left point. Loose ball picked up by Smythe. Down for Reedy. Dribbling, his shot partially blocked. Pulled down by Bradkey. 9 seconds left on the shot clock, but it doesn't matter. America back to the attack. Reggie Miller from 3. Yes! Reggie Miller with 24 points tonight. And he's 4 of 5 from 3-point territory. Putting on a show from outside. 86-56. Here's Smythe from 3, rattles off the cage. Coleman, long outlet to Miller. Will he go for 3 again? No, he'll slow it down. Putting it down for Marley. And it counts for 3 by Dan Marley. 89-56. America running away with it. 12:05 remaining second half. Smythe down to McKay. McKay at the left point. Trying to work around a pick. Over for Smythe. Shadowed closely by Kevin Johnson. Whistled down underneath. I believe the foul will be against Derek Coleman. 14,203.
Congratulations.
The attendance here tonight, and that's a FIBA world record for a qualifying game. Miller called on the travel.
Australia ball.
Yeah, he won't complain that much. Been hitting everything else. Australia will get the inbounds. Smythe up the right wing, pursued doggedly by Kevin Johnson. Slings it for Reedy, in underneath for Borner. Back for Smythe. Back down for Borner again. Holding on to the ball. In underneath for Bradkey, intercepted by Coleman. United States back the other way with Kevin Johnson through center. Behind the back dribble. Sets it back to Derek Coleman. Coleman spinning about, trying to work off of the pick set up by Miller. Give and go back to Miller through the paint. Finds some room off the glass and in. Reggie Miller. Quite easily the player of the game so far for the United States. 91-56 USA. Smythe in for Bradkey. Back for Smythe. Back for Bradkey again at the left point. Shadowed by Coleman. Back for Smith. Underneath for Reedy. Pairing up against Reggie Miller. Pass underneath, goes off hands, and it went off Border's hands last, and Derek Coleman.
Substitution number 14, Andrew Blahoff. USA substitution number 5.
There's Derek Coleman, swinging it over to Reggie Miller. And he finds all sorts of room where it doesn't look like initially there is room, pounding it off the glass for another 2. 91-56 USA. Derek Coleman through the paint. Dishes left side. Marley from 3. No. Rebound pulled down by the Aussies. Here's McKay for Bradkey. Down for Vlahov, playing with 4 fouls. And we have a foul underneath.
Foul number 6, Derek Coleman, is third.
Derek Coleman, that's his 3rd and the 7th team foul, so Australia edging closer to the bonus. Vlahov bounces it off Miller's back and recovers it. Cheeky little move there by Vlahov. Down for Smythe at the right point. Back for Bradkey, taking it outside. For Smythe, the old general working against Dumars. Regains the handle on the ball, spinning about on the double team. Loose ball, picked up on a 3-on-none. Marley, two-handed jam. Dan Marley making up for that one-handed jam that he missed before as Marley now goes sliding off your TV screen. Charging back, Bradkey brings it back for Australia. Up off the window, paying it in. 93-58 USA. Price zips it in and bounces over to Miller from three. Yes, Reggie Miller, what are you doing, buddy? He's hitting everything from three. 96-58. This American team looking like they're all on the same page now. Different team from the team we saw in the opening game against Spain, winning only by 15 points. Miller taking it inside, draws the foul. Reggie Miller, 9 of 10 from the field, 5 of 6 from three-point range. Here he is drawing the foul.
Australia substitutions number 4, Tony Ronaldson.
Michael McKay drawing his first foul, and it's the 5th team foul. And Miller is 6 of 6 from the line. He'll try to make it 30 points. And he does. 30 points tonight for Miller, leading both sides. Andrew Gay's the leader for Australia with 17 into the game. And Miller hits 31. 98-58, USA by 40. Gay's down for Blahov at the right point, back for Borner. Over for Blahov, working against Mark Price. Bit of a size mismatch there. Ronaldson from three, cannonball rebound out. Hauled down by Marley, up for Price. He's got Miller wide on the right side, goes for three instead and converts. The Price is right, Mark Price. Hitting on a bomb, 101-58 USA. Gaze down for Blahov. Marked closely by Price, and he either caught an elbow or a ball right to the chops from Blahov. It goes out of bounds. Dominique Wilkins comes into the game for Reggie Miller. And they don't announce Miller's name coming off, but he would have got a well-deserved round of applause if they would have mentioned his name. Here's Mark Price taking it inside, losing control. Borner, rather stand corrected. McKay brings it back underneath for Gaze, off the glass, doesn't draw. But he does draw the foul. There's Mark Price earlier against Blahov. Blahov said, hey, I've had just about enough of this. Wow, that would have made Doug Gilmour proud, the Toronto Maple Leaf. We see elbows like that in hockey here with the Toronto Maple Leafs. And Gaze makes it 101-60, USA by a whole bunch. 8 minutes remaining. Price out at the left point, bounces it underneath, doesn't connect with Coleman, and it goes out of bounds. And the basketball is reigning supreme tonight here at historic MLG. United States 101, Australia 60. Ronaldson down for Blahov, working against Wilkins. Warner now down deep along the baseline, paces it outside on the double team. His pass does not connect with Blahov as it was tipped by an American. And Gaze will take the inbounds for the boys from down under. Gaze back for Ronaldson. Ronaldson driving to the top of the paint. Underneath for Borner all alone. He puts it off the glass for two. 101-62. Price slings left side for Marley. Downside for Smith. Back for Coleman. Back for Marley. Long three-pointer. About the cage and out. Ronaldson pulls it down for Andrew Gaze. Spinorama at the center line. Dribbles through his legs. Throws it over for Ronaldson. Now over for McKay. McKay dropping it in for Borner. Back for Ronaldson for three. Yes! Ronaldson for three. So Ronaldson's tray makes the score 101-60 USA. Price sees if he can do it. The tray for Mark Price. That makes 14 points on the night for Mark Price. 104-65. As driving to the net was Andrew Gaze. Will they count it? A foul on the United States, and they will count it. Dan Marley's fourth.
We're in the bonus situation in effect.
There's Price from three, replying to that Ronaldson tray that was tossed up.
Plus the bonus.
First shot by Gage on the 1-on-1, rattles out. 104-65, the score remains in favor of the United States. Price, top of the key, tried to sling it up ahead for Coleman. Warner tried to control it and was tipped back out again. So Australia will have the inbounds. Greg Hubbard makes his first appearance into the game for the Australians. 6'2", 192 pounds. Borner down deep, bounce pass inside for Ronaldson. He can't control and bounces it across the baseline. USA with possession. Marley up to Price through center. Price takes it to the edge of the trapezoid. Dishes underneath for Dominique going up top. With a powerful 2, 106-65. Gaze at the left point. Back for Vlahov. Over to the right side for Hubbard. Underneath, turnaround jumper off the lip from Border. American speed back, Dominique Dubin, highlight reel. Didn't cash in, slipped on the floor. Shot off the glass, rebound by Gaze. Falls short, things getting a little sloppy here. Dominique Wilkins with an opportunity to redeem himself, puts it off the glass over Ray Borner and in. He gets two back. Dominique Wilkins not looking very happy throughout any point of this tournament. He's unhappy with some of the time that he had.
His first 16 foul. USA substitution number 7 is Sean.
That's a first foul against Border, and Kemp comes into the game for Marley, and you know Kemp's going to try to put on a bit of a show for these fans who have quieted down quite a bit here. This runaway lead. Wilkins is good on his shot, 109-65. The clock ticks down on this one. Ronaldson over for Gaze at the left point. Working off Smith, puts the shot up, is fouled.
Foul number 8, Steve Smith, is fourth.
That's the fourth foul against Steve Smith. Gaze shooting in the bonus.
Andrew Gaze, one.
You see the two coaches. Harry Barnes of Australia looking on. Probably hoping for about a 20-point margin in this game. He's not going to get his wish. See if Gaze can capitalize on a second opportunity on the one-on-one. How about the one-and-one? Well, he does anyway. 109-65. Smith at the right point, working against Vlahov. Works off the pick, give back to Coleman. Underneath, Kemp hauls it in, lost the handle, gets it back again. Basically mugged in the trapezoid, handles off to Coleman.
3 second violation.
But 3 in the key will be called against the United States. Australia trot back across the timeline. Hubbard. Bounce past Ronaldson. Now it's whistled down. We've got a holding foul underneath against Steve Smith. That's his fifth. And he's the first player of the game to foul out tonight. So Smith is gone. And so Dan Marley will trot into the game. These things have really slowed to a pedestrian pace here.
Gaze, 1 plus the bonus.
A 44-point margin in favor of the United States. Gaze with his first rattles it off the cage. He's totally lost his concentration here in the second half. Dominique from three. No, off the lip. Kemp underneath, spinning, and called on the travel. Dominique Wilkins flying in long after the fact. At least that pleases some of the fans here, desperate for some entertainment here in the late going of this one. 4:40 remaining. Jumper for three is good from Greg Hubbard. Hubbard, that's his first three of the game. Kemp underneath, knocked out of bounds by Borner. The intensity level turned down just a little bit here in the last few minutes. A little bit of statistic padding here for both sides. Kemp leaving it for Price. Price zips it in for Kemp. Driving up, he's fouled. If it's against Vlahov, that would be his fifth.
Foul number 15.
No, it's not. It's against Ray Borner. That's only his second.
Sean Kemp at the line, shooting two.
17th foul. They're not in the bonus. Kemp gets a chance at two. First shot pounds through, no problem. 110-70. Shaquille O'Neal sitting throughout the entire second half. He's the only player, actually, along with Alonzo Mourning, sitting there without their warm-up jackets on. Obviously ready to go in. At a moment's notice, Vlahov at the left point. Gonna zip it for Gaze, gets it back again, intercepted by Sean Kemp. America breaks out 3-on-1. Price to Kemp. One-handed jab by the Wayman. Sean Kemp. Worth the price of admission, 112-70 USA. Greg Hubbard at the right point, back for Vlahov. Back for Greg Hubbard. Way outside, and for Ronaldson, working against Kemp. Gets it over Kemp, but it doesn't drop. Rebound, bounce it around, hauled down by Sean Kemp. Gets by three Aussies. Sends it up for Derek Coleman. Bounce pass for Marley. Marley over for Price from three. Yes! The Price is right.
For Mark Price.
115-70 United States. Well, Dream Team 2 beat the Chinese team by 55, obviously trying to match that margin. Ronaldson with the jumper from 25, doesn't go. Foul underneath. Vlahov, that'll be his fifth, and he is fouled out, the first Aussie of the night. New Jersey net puts it through the net, 116-70. A few laughs being provided by the American players here. Late going, kind of like a Harlem Globetrotters game. You certainly know who's going to win. A little bit of comedy on the side, too. Gaze out to Reedy. And for Rees. Just checks into the game outside for Hubbard. Has one three-pointer tonight. Ronaldson underneath for Gaze. He can't reach out and grab it in with one hand. United States back to the attack. Mark Price out of his own backcourt, up for Kemp, back for Price. Across the division line, over for Kemp, down deep, Dominique. Dominique Wilkins driving in the paint, holding, drawing the foul. He was climbing up top.
Foul number 13, Paul Rees.
Paul Rees, that's his second. And now both teams are in the bonus.
Shooting two.
Dominique Wilkins will shoot two. And the fans start chanting, "We want Shaq." Well, I paid top dollar for these tickets, so I'm sure Coach John Nelson will probably give in to the pressure of these Torontonians. Rees, back for Hubbard. Marked by Price. Underneath for Rees, slapped away by Coleman. Price up for Marley, 2 on none. Human highlight! This time provided by Sean Kemp, the Rain Man.
From Dan Marley.
121-70. Underneath for Rees, rejected. Coleman behind the back from Kemp. This time the human highlight reel is on target. From Sean Kemp, Dominique converting it to. Jumper for 3, no good. Australia stone cold in this half from the field. Marley, jumper way out. Cannonball rebound right back to Marley. He tries it again. Hey, give him 2 opportunities. He'll get it right at the time. Dan Marley from 3. Here's a jumper from 3, no good for Gaze. Rebound underneath, hauled down by Kemp. Coleman with Price on his left side, in underneath for Marley on the fly. Takes it outside and slows it down. 1 minute remaining in this second half. Dominique goes up and he is fouled by Rees. He would have none of it. A little bit of Australian pride kicking in there, no doubt. That's his third. Here's the American bench reaction to the foul. Yeah. Having a laugh as Dominique Wilkins was sent hard to the hardwood. First shot no good. Don Nelson now over at the bench talking to Shaquille O'Neal. Walking away, teasing these fans here at Maple Leaf Gardens. And Wilkins, his second shot is no good. Rees pulls it down with 55 seconds remaining outside for Keogh. In underneath for Rees, pumps once, puts it off the lip, bounces out of bounds, U.S. ball. No, it doesn't look like Shaquille O'Neal will get much playing time in the second half with the score 126-70. Mark Price from 3, rattles around the hoop, comes back out. Kehoe from 3, off the lip. Man, talk about cold. 32.9% from the field. There's Dominique! Dominique Wilkins makes it 128-70. 3-pointer from Ronaldson, no good. Loose ball pulled in by Andrew Gaze. Reaching in is going to be the call against Derek Coleman. I believe that's Coleman's fourth. With 17.1 seconds remaining. And you wonder why they call him the human highlight reel. And they're happy in the American house. First shot by Gaze drops. 22 tonight for Andrew Gaze. 128-71. Make it 23. 128-72. Here's Mark Price dishing for Sean Kemp. Lost control. Wide pass for Dominique. Dominique Wilkins has a bit of a laugh about that. As the Americans with 10 seconds remaining, attempting to put on a bit of a show here. Here's Kemp. And the foul is called.
The foul number 4, Tony Ronaldson.
That's his second. And with 7.4 seconds remaining, Dan Marley will go to the line. Well, they're going to ask Sean Kemp to step up. Hey, why not?
Sean Kemp in the line, 1 plus the bonus.
Kemp on the one-on-one.
Oh, shit.
First shot drops, 129-72. Americans by 48. If my math is correct. I didn't pass math in high school. Here's Rees bringing it back at the buzzer, puts it up off the glass and in. Here's the buzzer. Coleman puts it up and through.
The final score.
And the Americans look stronger every game. Routing Australia 130-74 in front of 15,000 fans here at Maple Leaf Gardens in Toronto.